All right, so if you've ever found yourself wondering what it really takes to make it in the creator economy today, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to break down a masterclass from one of the true veterans of the game, Tanmay Bhat, and map out the path from 0 to 1 million. Okay, let's just dive right in.
Here's the game plan. We're going to cover 5 key areas. First, we'll talk about why it feels like everyone is becoming a creator. Then, we'll get into this killer concept called asymmetric returns. After that, the fun part, the anatomy of a viral hit. Then, of course, the business of creating. Yep, the money. And we'll wrap up with the single most important thing, your very first step.
So first things first, why is everyone and their grandmother suddenly a creator? It really feels like we're in the middle of a creator gold rush, doesn't it? You see startup founders, huge companies, everyone, they're all jumping on the content bandwagon. And there's a really good reason for it. It's a huge cultural shift. We've basically moved beyond the whole idea of having just one career path. Tanmay calls this the generation of ands, and it's brilliant. Your job is no longer your entire identity. You can be a doctor and a content creator. You can be an accountant and a comedian. Content becomes this powerful extra layer that lets you share what you know, build your own brand, and honestly, open doors you didn't even know were there.
And this idea leads us straight to the absolute core philosophy here. This is the single biggest, most powerful reason to put yourself out there and start creating. It's a concept that Tanmay calls asymmetric returns.
So what on earth does that actually mean? Well, think about it like this. An asymmetric return is when you put in a certain amount of effort, let's say making one video, but the potential reward, the upside, is basically unlimited. It's not a one-to-one trade. One single piece of content can have this massive, completely unexpected, life-changing impact.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. A normal job, that's what you call symmetrical returns. You trade your time, X hours, for a predictable paycheck, Y salary. It's linear. But content is a whole different ballgame. You post one video, one podcast, one tweet. That one thing could land on the screen of your future co-founder, your next big investor, or heck, even your life partner. The potential is exponential, it's wild, and it's completely unpredictable.
And if you need a real-world example, this is a legendary one. Ashish Shakir from IAB was just consistently writing a humor call. That's it. But that one simple act set off this insane domino effect. The famous director Karan Johar happens to read it, likes it, and follows him on Twitter. That tiny crack in the door was all AIB needed. They slide into his DMs, they make a sketch, it goes viral, and that viral hit is what ultimately opened the doors to make the AIB knockout happen. You can't plan for that kind of luck. All you can do is create opportunities for lightning to strike.
Okay, so that's the why. You get it, the potential is huge. But now for the big one, the million-dollar question. How do you actually make stuff that people stick around and watch? Well, it all comes down to one simple core idea.
Forget about likes for a second. Forget about comments, shares, all of it. According to Tanmay, the only question that truly matters, the #1 metric, is this. Can I keep someone watching until the very end? Retention. That's the name of the game no matter what platform you're on.
So, how do you get people to stick around? You do it with what Tanmay calls the oven moment. It is such a great analogy. Basically, at the beginning of your video, you make a promise. You show them the ingredients, you set an expectation, and then you spend the rest of the video building anticipation for this super satisfying payoff at the end. I mean, just think about those classic BuzzFeed tasty videos, right? They show you the pizza dough, the sauce, the cheese, all the toppings. That's the promise. Then, the pizza goes into the oven, the suspense builds, and what's the climax? What's the moment you've been waiting for the whole time? It's that final, beautiful, satisfying cheese pull when they slice into it. You were hooked from the very beginning because you knew that payoff was coming. Every single hit piece of content has this baked right into its DNA.
Okay, so we know why to create, we know how to structure the content, but let's be honest. The question that's probably on your mind is about the business side of all this. So yeah, let's talk about the money.
So what is the actual financial reality here? Can you really make a living doing this? Well, the answer really depends on what kind of content you're making.
Now, you got to look at this because the contrast is absolutely wild. If you're doing short-form content, Reels, TikToks, Shorts, the ad revenue is, well, it's basically nothing. We're talking like a couple thousand rupees for 10 million views.
It's crazy. But on long-form YouTube, 1 million views can bring in a pretty significant 30,000 to 1 lakh rupees. But here's the kicker. For the top creators, the real money, in both formats, comes from brand deals. And those can be massive.
So the big question, can you really hit those crazy numbers? Yes. For that top tiny sliver, maybe the top 0.1% of creators, the ones who are consistently getting 25 to 30 million long-form views every single month. Yeah, earning over $1 million a year from ads and brand deals is totally possible. It's a huge grind, but the ceiling is incredibly high.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. The philosophy, the mechanics, the money. Now let's bring it all home to the single most important part. What is the one simple, actionable thing you can do to start, like, today?
Look, long-form content, deep dive YouTube videos, podcasts, that is the holy grail. That's how you build a real connection with an audience and a sustainable business. But, and this is a big but, starting there is really intimidating. So the perfect place to start, your first step, is short form. The effort to get started is way lower, and your chances of actually getting some early traction are so much higher.
And Tanmay's advice here is just so practical and so real. Just start with short form. Why? Because you need that first win. You need that little dopamine hit of seeing the view counter go up and thinking, whoa, someone actually saw my stuff. That little bit of positive feedback is what gives you the confidence and the motivation to keep going.
So, we end right back where we started, with this incredibly powerful idea of asymmetry. You have no idea who is going to see that next video you post. You have no idea what door it's going to open for you. The only way you'll ever find out is by actually starting. So the only real question left to ask is, what amazing, unpredictable, potentially life-changing return is out there waiting for you?